Hey guys, it's Rachel and I'm back with another video, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but I am a lot darker. I'm very tan, maybe not so much on my face because I put on makeup, which by the way, my BB cream tone no longer matches my skin color. And my arms are starting to peel. I have a fairly light skin tone, like right here is my natural, and then I got super dark. And the reason is because if you saw on my last video, I went on a 2-week vacation to Australia and then to New Zealand. In Australia, I stayed in Sydney, so I have my Sydney shirt on. Thought it was appropriate for this video. And I also went to Gold Coast, and then in New Zealand, I went to visit a friend in Wellington. Absolutely, I fell in absolute love with the accents, the culture. I mean, it is just such a beautiful country, and I'm really sad that I'm back in I mean, not that Korea is like, you know, bad, but it's just, you know, coming back to the cold and coming back to reality and responsibilities is not the best thing. And while I was there, I noticed a lot of differences, very subtle but very drastic differences between Australia and Korea. So I just wanted to make a short video on some of the differences that my friend and I have observed. So number one, I mean, I guess it's like the most common difference, or like the biggest or most obvious difference, is that everything is opposite. The driving in itself is on the opposite road as it is in America and as it is in Korea. And this was, I didn't really think this was going to be a really big deal, but I mean, when I would step out, you know, to cross the street and you look both ways, I would look the wrong way. Like for instance, in Korea, cars don't come, when you're stepping out, cars don't come this way, it comes this way. So I went to look this way and I stepped out because no cars were coming this way, and then I almost got hit by a car in New Zealand. So that was quite scary. And like just like waiting on the escalator when you don't walk up and you're just standing there, I always my friend and I, we always tend to stand on the right side because that's just how it is in the West, but on the East they tend to stand on the left side. And my friend in New Zealand, she drives, and so it was so weird to sit on the left side in the front seat of the car. I mean, I've always like seen it in movies, and I've seen it, you know, with friends who visited, you know, the countries where that is, you know, the norm. But to actually personally experience it, I mean, it was crazy. I took so many different Insta stories, I took so many different videos because I was just mind blown. Number two, the word pokies is written everywhere. At least it was in Gold Coast. And my friend and I, we were eating at a restaurant called The Island in Gold Coast, and there was two like these like pillars, and the one on more closer to us, it had a picture of the restroom, and then right behind it, it had the word pokies on it, and it was the arrow pointing towards the bathroom. So we thought, oh, pokies must mean bathroom, you know. Turns out, so wrong. It actually means, it's very similar, or it is identical to what we Westerners would call as like gambling room, and it's everywhere. And it's not in Korea because it's, you know, gambling's illegal here, but we don't call it pokies in the Western hemisphere of the world, right? But yeah, pokies just mean gambling room. Number three, in America or in Western countries, when someone says thank you, you reply you're welcome. So there's that really famous song in Moana called You're Welcome, right?
Can I say except you're welcome?
But in New Zealand and also in Australia, if I say thank you, they reply with a it's okay or it's all right. And we were quite confused in the beginning because in the Western world, or in the Western countries, when someone replies it's okay or it's all right, it usually comes after someone apologizing. So that was quite a adjustment that we had to make. And number four, so in Australia, and I guess the same in New Zealand, coffee flat white is a huge thing there. Like, I had absolutely no idea what that was. Maybe it is popular in America. I've never really been that, it's never been that available to me before. And there are a couple cafes in Korea that it's becoming, you know, it's slowly starting to kind of migrate to Korea, but it's everywhere in New Zealand and in Australia. And if you order an iced coffee or an iced latte, they give you ice cream in your coffee in Australia. And I was so excited about that because, I mean, who doesn't love ice cream, right? And then in New Zealand, in like a lot of people's coffees, they have the option of something called a chocolate fish. But this chocolate fish is basically a chocolate shaped like a fish. And a lot of people, they eat it as like a side thing with their coffee, but in New Zealand they eat this chocolate fish and you bite into it and there's marshmallows on the inside, but the marshmallows are pink. I mean, I've seen like pink marshmallows before, but the prominent, and like when we think of marshmallows we think of white marshmallows, you know? So if you see like any cafes in New Zealand, be prepared to see the chocolate fish, and I highly recommend it. And people sometimes put it in the coffee, so I tried and it was amazing. Number 5. So in America, as you guys all know, we all tip. 10 to 15% is the minimum that we all give in any restaurant or any public service places, right? But in Australia, there's no tip, which I was extremely happy about. In Korea, there's no tip either, but I thought, like, I just automatically thought that in Australia and New Zealand they would have tip, but they don't. But the prices for everything is so expensive. I think it's because I'm comparing that to prices in Korea. Minimum wage in Australia, I heard it was $18. I mean, what? In Korea, I think it's like $7. So that was a huge difference. Coffee was fairly cheap. They were about $3 to $5, but I mean, food was quite expensive. They ranged from $15 to like $25 for brunch. And in Korea it's kind of the opposite because coffee is fairly expensive here and the food is not that expensive. In America, I guess food, same with Australia, coffee's pretty cheap and food is quite expensive, and we tip on top of all of that. Number 6, it's been 5 years since I've moved from America to Korea, so I don't exactly remember if this is like also a thing in America, but I mean, everything closes so early in Australia and in New Zealand. I mean, in Korea, Forever 21 mall and like just malls, cafes, restaurants are all open till 11 p.m. But in New Zealand and in Australia, everything closes by like 5:30. Malls are closed by 5:30. Cafes are closed by like 3. I mean, yes, they open super early, but I mean 3 p.m. And the last difference is that the schools end at a completely different time. When my friend and I went to Gold Coast, we went at quite a horrible time because it was when the event of schoolies was going on. If you guys are any familiar with Australia, then you know exactly what schoolies is. Schoolies is basically, it's a huge party where all high schoolers are out of school, and you know, it's kind of like their first summer event because, you know, in Australia it's summer in November, December-ish. So we went during schoolies and it was Surfers Paradise. The beach was packed with teenagers. So I don't recommend going to Gold Coast in end of November because that's usually when schoolies kind of happen. In America, we end school in June, and in Australia, they end school in November. And I guess it's because of the whole like summer vacation. It's a different season here. In the East, summer vacation is like November, December, January. But then, so that was it was just weird to think like summer vacation is November, December, January, you know, because that's like the coldest months in New York and in Korea as well. But yes, coming out of school and when you end school is a completely different time than in the one in the States. Alrighty, that is the end of the video, and I cannot wait to go back to Australia and New Zealand someday, really soon I hope. But I'm going on a Japan trip in February because I really want to go to Harry Potter World, so I'm hoping to go to Universal there. Actually, I'm going for Universal, and I'm gonna drink my butterbeer at Harry Potter World. And next summer I'm gonna go to 5 different states in America. to visit some friends and to go on my last vacation. I guess it's kind of like my graduation trip, because I start grad school in fall of 2018, and so it'll be like this year is like my traveling type of year, I guess. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!